Welcome back to Biomechanics on Catalyst University. In this video, we're going to look at a very general way to predict what direction you need to move a bone in order to mobilize a joint for a given movement. And so, for example, we'll be looking at how to answer a question like this. In order to improve shoulder extension, the humerus must be mobilized in what direction? Before we dive straight into answering this question and understanding the concept, we need to understand a few baseline concepts. And the first is that of an osteokinematic movement. An osteokinematic movement is really just the movement at a joint that you're used to hearing about all the way back in undergraduate anatomy. So for example, if we're talking about the shoulder joint, shoulder flexion, shoulder extension like we have here, shoulder abduction, shoulder adduction, internal rotation, external rotation. Basically, if you can go work that movement out in a gym somehow, it's an osteokinematic movement. That's a simple way to think about it. But it's really just the normal movements in the three cardinal planes for any joint. All right? And then we also have what are called arthrokinematic movements. These are movements that you really can't see too well because they're actually occurring within the joint. And we talked about those in the previous video. And so these are movements of the two bones about the joint where they're actually moving relative to one another. Okay? And the three examples that we used were roll, we also had slide, and then we had another one called spin. And specifically when we answer this kind of question, we're going to be using the concept of roll and slide. And without worrying too much about the exact definitions of roll, slide, and spin, let's talk about this question. Okay? So let's suppose we want to improve shoulder extension. So we can improve a specific movement at a joint, but in order to do that, we're going to have to mobilize a specific bone at the joint. So here I'm telling you that the humerus is going to have to be mobilized. Okay, I'll tell you how we determine which bone it is, because remember there's two bones articulating at the shoulder joint. Okay, we have the head of the humerus, and then of course we have the glenoid fossa of the scapula. How do we know which one is the bone that we're going to mobilize? Okay, and then once we know that, how do we know what direction to mobilize the humerus in? We can mobilize it anteriorly, posteriorly, we can do medially, laterally, all sorts of stuff. How do we determine that? Okay, so we're going to answer that question here. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to determine in that particular movement, like shoulder extension, what the mobile component is and what the static, or we could just say less mobile component is. So let's consider shoulder extension. Okay, you can perform this movement right now, but basically you're taking your arm and moving it in the sagittal plane in a direction that goes behind your body. You don't necessarily have to put it all the way behind your body, but you're moving it in that direction. So this movement would be shoulder extension. Okay? Now when I do this movement, I think it's pretty clear that the bone that's actually having most movement is the humerus. Okay? The glenoid cavity might move a tad, but it's not really moving that much. So in this example, the mobile component is the humerus and the static component is the glenoid fossa. Okay? The next thing we have to do is really know with those bones which one's concave and which one's convex. Okay? So the one that's a cavity, so has a concavity or is concave, is the glenoid. Okay, it's the glenoid cavity or glenoid fossa. And then the convex bone, the one that of course sticks out as a ball, is the humerus or the humeral head. Okay? So the glenoid cavity is concave, the humerus or head of the humerus is convex. And so we can word it in a sentence like this. Okay? We're going to say the blank is moving on a blank. In this case, it's the convex humerus moving on or about a concave glenoid. It wouldn't make sense to say, well, it's a concave glenoid moving on a convex humerus, because we said that the humerus is mobile. Okay? So it's a convex humerus moving on a concave glenoid. The general rule here is that if you have a convex bone moving on a concave bone, so convex moving on concave, the roll and the slide are going to be in opposite directions. Okay? If it were the other way around, and we'll see an example of that in the next video, where we have concave moving on convex, then the roll and the slide would be in the same direction. So we really need to figure out if the roll and the slide are opposite or the same. And the way we do that is by forming this kind of sentence like this. We have a convex humerus moving on a concave glenoid. Okay? If it's convex moving on concave, it's opposite. And the way that someone actually told me about this is that if you run into your X, so the X is first, if you run into your X, you're probably going to want to go the opposite direction. Okay? So convex moving on concave, we know that the roll and the slide are in opposite directions. Okay? And now we pretty much have everything we need to solve this problem. Okay? So again, the original question is, in order to improve shoulder extension, the humerus must be mobilized in what direction? Okay? Now, again, we said the roll and the slide are in opposite directions. So what we can do is we can use this little flow chart right here. Okay? And when the question is worded such that we are given a specific movement and have to determine what direction to do mobilization, we use this top one right here. Okay? So let's actually work through this. What we do is we're given a specific movement. We start with that, shoulder extension. And I just ask myself, okay, when I perform a shoulder extension, what direction is my humerus moving? Okay? Is it moving medially? Is it moving laterally? Well, clearly not either of those because it's really moving in the sagittal plane. So if I'm looking at the direction my humerus is moving, it's moving posteriorly, right? If I were doing flexion and bringing it out this way, then my humerus would be moving anteriorly. But in extension, my humerus is clearly moving posteriorly. Okay? So I know that my roll is posterior. The roll is always in the same direction as the mobile bone moves. My mobile bone is the humerus. It's moving posteriorly, so the roll is posterior. Okay? Well, we already determined that the roll and the slide are in opposite directions. So opposite or same is next. We already determined opposite, right? So if my roll is posterior, what direction does my slide have to be? Anterior. It's whatever the opposite direction is. So if my roll is posterior in this case, my slide would have to be anterior. And now we're pretty much done because the mobilization at the joint should be in the same direction as the slide. And since we just determined the slide was anterior, the mobilization would also have to be anterior. Okay? And so that's the answer to this question. So if I wanted to improve shoulder extension, okay, the humerus would have to be mobilized anteriorly. And theoretically, if I did that, I would be improving the mobility of specifically shoulder extension. What you can also do with this is if you know that, then you can say the reverse. Well, if I'm trying to improve shoulder flexion, then I would mobilize the humerus in the posterior direction. Okay, so antagonistic movements also are going to have antagonistic mobilization directions, okay, assuming all the conditions are the same. And so we can use this kind of flow chart right here in order to answer this kind of question. The key here, though, with this top direction, where we go from specific movement to mobilization direction, is that the question has to be worded like this. We have to be given a movement direction, like shoulder extension, and then we're asked what direction should the bone be mobilized. Okay? We'll look at this in a future video, actually 2 videos from now, that if instead we're just given the direction of the mobilization, we can go backwards and try to figure out the specific movement that you're trying to mobilize. Okay? So, hopefully this video made sense to you. Come back in the next video and we're going to do 2 more examples that are a little bit more challenging because we're going to have to differentiate between open chain and closed chain movements. So join us then. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for future videos and notifications. Thank you.